Binge.
Rampage.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another brand new video about the show that just turned your concept of time upside down, HBO's Watchmen. Warning, beyond this point there are spoilers for people who are not up to date on the TV show Watchmen, as well as the comics and 2009 film. In part 2 of our video, we're going to continue giving you our Rampage recaps of all the major mysteries set up in episodes 3 through 9 of Season 1. We're going to give you more binge breakdowns of how these mysteries and questions were resolved, or in some cases still left hanging. We will be covering questions left over from the original Watchmen comic series in an upcoming video, but some characters and events will undoubtedly connect. Finally, we'd like to speculate on the possibility of Season 2, what the main conflict could be, and give you our theory on how a new Dr. Manhattan could change the world. For now, let's talk about Episode 3, which starts with Dr. Manhattan's old girlfriend, Laurie Blake, getting into a phone booth that was designed to send messages to Big Blue on Mars. As we already know, Manhattan is not on Mars.
Don't know you.
But this booth does tie into the enigmatic Lady True, as she uses it for information mining. True eventually turns out to be possibly a bigger egomaniac narcissist than her dear old dad, but we're saving her fate for the end. The next mystery that comes back up is the Millennium Clock, which is supposed to be Lady True's crowning achievement. We eventually find out that this is part of Lady True's master plan, to steal Dr. Manhattan's powers and take them for herself after she tricks and disposes of the white supremacists, which is part of her deal with Will Reeves. We're never really given any explanation of how the machine works, but his purpose is made very clear in the finale. Now we want to talk about Ozymandias again, as the warden of his prison is introduced in episode 3. At first it's unclear where this warden came from and who gave him his title, but we eventually find out that Adrian took the very first clone and made him the warden of his prison. He gave him a mask to make the clone more ruthless, as Vite needed a worthy adversary to keep him sane. This guy really is one twisted nightmare. Episode 4 starts off with Lady True's official introduction and also gives us another mystery. The genius billionaire pressures a childless couple into selling them their property on the spot and uses a genetically engineered baby to help seal the deal. Just as the couple signs the contract, we see an unidentified flying object crash to the ground on their old property. We eventually find out that this UFO is what's left of the spacecraft that rescued Vite from Jupiter. True wanted to bring Daddy home to see her crowning achievement and rub it in his face. This mystery is one of our favorites, Lube Man. We only get one sighting and subsequent chase of the weirdo in a costume, but it's memorable as he makes his escape with the help of some lube. Although we're not given an answer in the series, the last Peteypedia entry would confirm our suspicions that it was Agent Petey, and we get one last picture of our favorite new hero if we hover over the words canola oil in the FBI's report. What do you think? What will Lube Man be up to in Season 2? Now the question we're going to answer is about why Lady True has a statue of Adrian Vite looking old AF. In the finale, we find out that this statue is actually the hero-turned-mass-murdering maniac, as he's been given the Han Solo treatment. True keeps him here seemingly for some kind of amusement until she thaws him out on her big day. Episode 5 starts with Looking Glass's past, which we covered in part 1. The last question we're left with at the end of this Looking Glass-centric episode is, what happens when an armed gang of cavalry show up at his house to kill him after he betrays Angela to keep her alive?
I had to, Angela.
What did you do?
Later on, Agent Petey would find what's left of the attack on Detective Tillman's property, except one cavalry member was missing his mask. In the finale, Glass would resurface in that missing mask and help Agent Blake apprehend Ozymandias for his mass murder after they helped save the world with him. Episode 6 is a flashback episode, where many of the questions of Will's past that we discussed earlier are answered, as well as the fact that he murdered the chief of police back in the pilot. The only new mystery that pops up in this episode is at the very end, when Angela wakes up in the care of Lady True. There is a thick tube in her arm. Eventually, we find out that tube is part of a treatment for nostalgia ODs, and that it's attached to an elephant. We're never given any pseudo-scientific explanation to the elephant, although we know True's logo is an elephant, and that it may be an homage to elephant lover Alexander the Great, who her father deeply admired. Episode 7 doesn't ask many questions, but one really weird one is, why the hell does Chief Crawford have a trapdoor in his living room? Like, how many times could you really need to use that? Is this a Get Out type situation? We never get any deeper explanation than because they're villains, but we thought it was worth noting.
I'm sorry?
Who has a fucking trap door installed in their living room?
Finally, at the end of the episode, when we get the big Dr. Manhattan is Cal reveal, we see a little object she pulls out of his brain. In the next episode, we find out that this object was created by Adrian Veidt to neutralize Dr. Manhattan. He decided to try to disintegrate Manhattan instead, which didn't work out, but the good doctor would eventually seek Veidt out peacefully as he wanted a way to be able to be more human and have a life with Angela. It's unclear exactly how the strange device works on Manhattan, but Veidt says it's irradiated with tachyonic particles, which stop Dr. Manhattan's time abilities from working properly. As Big Blue takes the device from Veidt, this is the moment where he sends him to Europa, as Adrian thinks he's going to a paradise until everything comes full circle. Episode 8 starts with one of the last big mysteries. Can Dr. Manhattan give someone else his powers? He suggests it himself in his first meeting with Angela, who plays along right away. Eventually, we find out that's exactly what he did. There are many egg references throughout the series, even in this credit song.
I looked out the window, seen this bullhead, ran to the fridge and pulled out an egg.
As they were trying to tell us all along that the powers are in the egg. Angela consumes Dr. Manhattan's magic egg in the very last scene of the season, but we're all left wondering if she actually got his powers. What do you think? Will she heal the world of all its pain and injustice, or just become detached from humanity like her dearly departed ex did? Later on, we see Manhattan and Will Reeves' first meeting, which explains how Hooded Justice got the knowledge he did of the future and used it to align with Lady True, which we're getting to really soon. A big unanswered question comes towards the end of the episode when Blue Cal is telling Angela it's important that she sees him on the water for later. Dr. Manhattan ends up dying. He only sees time infinitely in his own lifespan. How can he know what's important for later? Is he somehow still alive? Or is a tiny little part of his personality inside that egg? The last mystery of the penultimate episode is the very last moment of action, when Dr. Manhattan just stands there and gets blasted by the tachyonic cannon. Why couldn't he move or just have vaporized everyone in the area but Angela? We believe it's because in this universe, time corrects itself. So if Manhattan tries to change the future, which maybe he has, then similar incidents will happen regardless of whatever he does. So he decides to just go with the original outcome. This just seems to be generally Dr. Manhattan's philosophy, so we can't really call it an unanswered mystery. But then why couldn't he just have zapped that guy instead of saying this?
I'm sorry.
In the finale, Lady True finally reveals her plans to steal Dr. Manhattan's powers after she vaporizes the 7K. This storyline is tied up when her dad uses his old reruns of Squid in a really cold way to obliterate the area where she just sucked Manhattan dry of his powers. Tiny frozen squid saved the day instead of a giant psychic one. At least this time, millions didn't have to die. This event also opens up the question, since True didn't absorb Dr. Manhattan's energy, could he reassemble himself? Could Angela figure out a way to resurrect him with her possible newfound powers? Finally, we'd like to speculate on Season 2 and give you our theory of what could be in store in this dark and twisted alternate future. We 100% believe eventually there will be a Season 2, but this is HBO, people, so it could be 2 years or more. Our theory is that Angela definitely has Manhattan's powers and he will eventually resurface. We also believe she may form some sort of new Watchmen under the guidance of her vigilante OG grandpa, Hooded Justice. We believe that Angela will try to use her powers for big things like disarming nuclear weapons, stopping wars, creating more sustainable clean energy, things like that, but at least one or more villains will rise against her crusade. We think Looking Glass will make up with Angela when he explains his betrayal and they will work together. He seems like a modern-day Rorschach, and we just wonder if he'll keep the glass or reclaim the mask from the 7K in the name of heroic acts. We believe eventually Lady True will resurface in an AI form or as a clone, just like her daughter Bien, who seems innocent, but we know she's gonna turn out to be ruthless.
You, Ozymandias.
We believe either Bien or True will attempt to get Angela's newfound powers, and that this could eventually end up being the main conflict of Season 2, as True probably had a plan B. We think Veidt's trial will be interesting, but are unsure he would actually be convicted or that a jail could hold him. The guy escaped from Jupiter. We don't think he'd be the main villain of Season 2, but that his trial would be included, although the mass panic that could ensue if the general public found out his squid secret might not be something that will end up happening. We believe Laurie Blake will make a deal to get Night Owl out, and we'll finally get to see him in the flesh after many years of incarceration. Looking Glass won't like this, and there may be some sort of conflict there as well. We also really wonder if Manhattan might somehow reappear as we theorized earlier. What do you think? It's too far out to tell, but any of these storylines could really be amazing. Thanks so much for watching our videos, everyone. As always, we're on the lookout for bonus material and insider interviews to help prove or disprove all the rumors and theories about our favorite show with tons of clock and time symbolism. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Binge Rampage. Click the notifications bell for our channel so you can see our next video as soon as it comes out. And don't forget to subscribe.
And the only way to stave off mankind's extinction is with a weapon more powerful than any atomic device. That weapon is fear.